beauty, Miss Lynn Whitfield. Next we have series writer Erica Anderson. We also have Mr. Craig Wright, executive producer and creator of Greenleaf. Merle Dandridge, lead for Greenleaf. Mr. GregAlan Williams. We have Pete David. And finally we have Kim Hawthorne. All right, Cass, welcome.
I feel that, you're only as good as your next season. So for me, it's more thought, going deeper. I think all of us, going deeper, finding more to extract from the character, and hoping, knowing with Erica and Craig that the second season will be better than the first. We want to keep pleasing you, titillating you, engaging you more. And I think that's what we're doing. So, once you come out the box and everybody says, yay, it's so great, then I get nervous, and my artist ego gets in and it's like, okay, it's got to be even better this season, So that's where I am about that.
I found a really great new sense of purpose when the show came out and perfect strangers started coming up to me and telling me the most intimate secrets of their life. And I mean, as if I was their pastor, but they would tell me secrets that they just don't express to people. And it put into focus just how powerful the messages that we're putting out there are, and how important this particular kind of storytelling is. So, and to have all of those nerves from the first season settled a little so that we can just really be swagger with them a little this year.
Every actor has a different approach, I guess, but I have to figure out psychologically where she is, acting 101, what her obstacles are, what it is she wants, so once you know what she wants, what the obstacles are, depending on who is getting in the way of what I want, or who is helping me get, all of that. And it is, it's really funny because, there was Tennessee Williams and now there's Erica and Craig Wright. Because it's complex, it's written. The poetry is written into it. The complexity is there. And so we have it, the roadmap, and now we have to just figure out how to make our way with the truth and the spirit of the character. So I'm always looking for the truth. If I feel that I am not telling the truth, it's really hard for me to put it out there.
When you book a job and you're going to be spending a lot of time with people, I'm pretty sure all these guys can agree. You think, oh God, I hope I like everybody, and I hope everybody's normal. And I can say that a large part of the chemistry that you see is genuine. These are all a wonderful group of people, and I don't know if Oprah just has some magic dust, but we know she does. She's like everybody's fairy godmother, but we are all aligned in a very special way, and it's been a very divine experience.
And I love, me, myself growing up, I love being able to see dark-skinned women represented. And I always said to myself, if I ever got the chance, I want to be that for some little girl somewhere thinking, I'm too dark to do this, I'm too big to do this. I don't look like that. I wanted to be that representation. And so I love being that.
And then Erica and I just count on the actors to let us know when it isn't quite right. And they say, like, I don't feel that, I don't feel this, I don't feel that. And so then we modify it. It's an ongoing conversation all the time. But I feel like this show started as a conversation between me and Oprah about how she got shut down for her questions in the church, and how I had left the church myself. 2 different churches, but same experience. And Grace's entry into the family is that conversation, right? And so I'm just trying to keep on having an honest conversation with the show. As ungainly and strange as that might seem moment to moment, that makes it feel real. I want to say.
And one of the things that I really love about the show is, and that constantly surprises me about it as well, is that you do get those big, flashy moments that just make you run to the water cooler and talk about it. You know, you got to dish it out the next day. But what I find the most interesting is the internal struggles, the very nuanced, small internal struggles that each character goes through. And I just find our writers do a beautiful job of bringing out those little things.
Yes, I have a church background. I grew up in the church. I used to want to be a preacher. This whole experience is very close to my heart. When I read it the first time, and I think Craig asked me something about what I thought. I immediately, and certainly at this point in my life, I knew I was going to be the dad. But I immediately identified with the bishop because I'm a father of 3 children, and the dynamics with each child being different and being specific and particular, and how you have to deal with them, and how you have feelings of affinity that get broken, and there's hope and disappointment. That's very real to me.
Right? So this show's like half dynasty, half that. Right? And so I think the part of what makes the show seem real is that it doesn't have this like vicious drive towards soap opera plotting. You never know when it's going to stop and someone's going to tell some story that doesn't matter to anybody but God. You know, it has a naturalness to it. Trees don't grow there; they grow everywhere. They just head towards the light, and the light is everywhere. And I think that's how reality is. That's how the becoming parts of our souls work. And so I think the show has a natural messiness, which makes it seem true. That's my hope, anyway.
This season, now that Grace has decided to stick around, whether it's for the legacy of her daughter, or if she finds loyalty to her family or anything like that, the Greenleaf legacy is in the church, and she finds herself back there. And her journey to figuring out what does she believe? Does she believe this anymore? And I find it very honest and real and true that we have all had that moment, with our higher power or whatever, we're struggling with our spirituality and the wrestle that people can often have with the church, even if it is your family legacy, even if it is what you come from, even what you've known your entire life. Sometimes you have those questions, and I love that Grace is so flawed that way, that she is willing to fight that fight. She's willing.
I'm iamHarmonyLove from Pop Life Radio, and this question is for Erica. I know it's been said a time or two that writers pull from their personal experiences. So how much of the Greenleaf storyline is your personal experience or taken from your family and your friends?
So I grew up in the church and am a part of a church now, a mega church. And for me, of course, you just open the newspaper now and you see all the headlines of all the things, the scandalous stuff that's happening in the church. So some of that comes from those headlines, but also because I've been in the church for a long time, you hear things and you've experienced things now that happen in the church, things that have to do with church politics, things that have to do with people getting their feelings hurt in the church, and it sort of just feeds into the dynamic of the family. So some of it is personal experience, most of it isn't, and a little bit of it all, yeah.
One of the things that kept me from being a preacher, really, frankly, is that I did not think, my great grandfather was a deacon who founded a church in South Carolina, and my great grandmother, used to always talk about a jackleg. And who was a jackleg preacher who would talk the talk, but who would on Saturday night you'd catch him in the bar and sneaking out the back. And I didn't want to be no jackleg. And I knew that there were certain things to be upheld that I didn't know if I could 100% of the time uphold that. Now, another great thing about this, the preacher is just a man. And if you don't know that, read the paper. The preacher is just a man with familial things that happen, with personal trials that they find very difficult to get through, and we get to explore that.
I would say the biggest thing about Kevin's storyline is you have to have empathy. And when I first met with Craig and he told me that he wanted me for the role, it was a challenge. But at the same time, it's a real story. And I'm sure if any of you have attended church, you know a Kevin. You've been around a Kevin. Kevin exists right now. And I think the biggest thing we can do as people is just operate from a place of love and understanding.
I don't think there's a family anywhere that doesn't experience that. And because of those, sort of real human things, it makes this whole experience quite wonderful. And as has been mentioned, when you also have a company of players with whom it is a pleasure and an honor to be around, because they make that easy. I don't ever want to get caught acting. And so, the wonderful thing between Clement and Craig, Eric, and these people, I don't have to act. I can just behave.
Well, if you felt that way, that's the way you're supposed to. When people wag their finger at me and say, "Ooh," absolutely. So so there's an affirmation that I'm doing my job. It is a courageous storyline. We've never really seen, you've seen shows and stories dance around it, but not meet it head on, in the way, Craig Wright and his team, meet it head on. It's a very weighty, for me, it's a very weighty thing. I didn't realize until recently how weighty this character is for me. I think Meryl Streep mentioned during the Golden Globes, talked about, as actors, we step into the lives of others. This is certainly not a life that anyone would want to step into. And it has taken its toll on me. It is...
And as far as the storyline goes, we just want to tell it in as truthful way as possible. Honoring what Kevin feels, whether that be he's 100% gay, whether he's bisexual, wherever this journey takes us, we just want to tell it in an authentic way. And luckily I have a phenomenal scene partner that makes it so easy to work off of. Man, I can make them tears go anytime when I'm with her, anytime. But yeah, it's a pleasure and a gift to be able to tell this story, because every character that I have played and I hope to play will be a real person, and it will touch somebody and maybe be a gift in some way to their life, brighten someone's mind, open their mind to a place where they were judgmental at first, and now they understand a little bit more. And that's the truth of Greenleaf in and of itself, is that, yes, we watch for entertainment, but we hope to tell real stories at the same time. Whether it be GregAlan's character,
and proud to do it, and I'm proud to do a good job with it. But there's some consequences that come with it. I am very grateful to the audience, because I've yet to encounter anyone, who was unable to discern the difference between GregAlan and the character. Folks are, smile, they wag their finger, then they want to take a selfie. Which, and in some instances, that can bug me. That we sort of so easily forget that this guy is out there. right now. This is not a villain from Mars. This is not an extraterrestrial villain. You know, he walks among us all the time. And I think, and I'm always conscious of that. And that's where part of the weight comes from.
I get to, you know, to play that out and to see what the reality of that is. And I think that that is also healing, because I mean, I've read the paper about some of these ministers, and I wonder how they still have congregations. And I've asked several of them of it. Everybody has a different opinion about it. But you know, but it's very real. So I mean, and I absolutely adore the fact that this man has done things in his past to which there are regrets. But when she comes home to break this thing open, it is a point in his life when he is willing to face whatever God has to make him answer for. And then there's the vacillation. Okay, give it to me, God, but not like that. You know, and he has to go through that. And that's phenomenal. I mean, it's a gift. I don't know, you know, when the last time I've had that to be able to do. I hope that happens.
You know, that there's, Oprah and I both knew that this show was not there to poke at the black church without honoring it. You know what I'm saying? It's both. It's both all the time.
One of the reasons I felt so honored to bring this story to life, because it demystifies leadership. The Bible says, I mean, idol worship is not cool. Putting people on a pedestal and not asking a question, well, who are you and who is your mama? And where did you come from? And what is going on behind your closed doors?
Right.
So at the end of the day, I feel that this story will encourage people to look past the man and build a more personal relationship. Because you never know. I really feel that what we've been able to achieve, even up till this moment, will allow people, if something funny is going on, you know, that is around that pulpit, when preachers start preaching, you know, from a position of beating you with the ruler, using the word of God, you know, it's like, okay, this is a man, let me check in with my maker. And I was
Twitter, on my Facebook, and I actually talk to my fans, and I've had in-depth discussions with my fans about my character and other people's characters and choices that the characters are making. And I hope I can express this in the way that I'm thinking it and feeling it. But a lot of times, at least when I grew up in the church, it was fire and brimstone. And you were going to go to hell if you didn't blah, blah, blah. It was black and white. And what I have found with this show as a growing lesson for me, and also just in conversations with fans of the show, that a lot of our real life existence is in the gray area. It's not in the black and white. And so what I think has happened with the show and the writing and my character in particular staying with a man that was unfaithful, and a lot of times people wanted to make that black and white, and I had to come in and have discussions with people, you know, to defend my character, but also to have self-analysis for myself. You know, what's the gray area of this? And it's okay to live in the gray, and I think that's what the questions are, and the waiting for the deliverance or the answers to those questions. So that's something that I hope that people will watch this show and take away from the show and embrace the gray areas of life and being okay residing in those areas in order to ascend to the next plateau.
I think one of the things that my mantra is, many months ago I was told that one of the things that Miss Winfield wanted to explore and to make clear in the show is that abusers are seducers. And so for me, that's a driving force behind my interpretation of the character and my work. You know, we want to think of these kinds of guys as caped and hooded evil people who snatch children into alleys and cars and abuse them and then sell them to the highest bidder. The truth is that they are seducers, and in order to seduce children, they have to be in regular and constant contact with children. So
I felt so honored to be able to humanize leadership without hate or anything, with real compassion, because it's not about the man in the first place, you know? And I think that our show really has begun to achieve that. And you know what? God, the second season, who knows what's coming? And if God is good, hallelujah, the third.
I just want to stress.
for me, you know, the takeaway for me, for the audience is pay attention. You know, this is an uncle, an official of the church council, a prominent man in the town, you see. And the one we would least suspect. So, and we don't want this sort of evil and misguided motivation to be among us. We don't want that. Who wants that? Nobody wants that. But the truth is that abusers are seducers. So that's a powerful, powerful message for me that I think the audience can do well to pay attention to.
Which is something that happens in all cultures, and you know, we are who we are, but denial and blind eyes to truths. You know, why did Lady May know? Sometimes the way the psyche works and the work that it takes to get through such a gray and dangerous area, you know, you just enter a state of blind denial. And you know, the turn away, or here's something else to do that I think the show will be so great for, Greg, is, you know, no, you did see what you saw. You know, so often we see and we say, oh, we didn't see that, that couldn't be. No, you know, so that area of what is going on in your home, what is going on with your children, and how honest are you in your heart and your soul? And
And I just wanted to say that the reason I got this tattoo, which I'm excited you asked me about, because I just wanted to say this. Until the rule of law and the standards of common decency are restored in this country, no rest. Until the rule of law and the standards of common decency are restored in this country, no silence. And until the rule of law and the standards of common decency are restored in this country, no peace. That's all.
And on that